Hello and welcome to part 2 of our making collage fodder video, and in this video we are going to be using the collage we made last week, and we are going to be creating some depth with some layers of paint. So as you can see, I'm using some Do-Craft Artist metallic acrylic paints and an old roller, and to start off with I'm just randomly squirting some of the white paint, which got kind of like a pearlescent effect, over the collage, and then just rolling it all over the surface. This is nice translucent paint, so you can still see the collage underneath. And now I'm adding some gold and just doing the same, not all over, but perhaps in the other places that haven't been covered. And then I am just dabbing off some of the excess paint with a piece of kitchen roll, and this is so that you can still see some of the areas that I'd like to show through a bit more clearly, and just getting off some of the extra thick paint. Next, I'm just going to dry it with a blowing tool. Then I've got this darker bronze coloured paint, which is also a Do-Craft Artist acrylic, and I'm just going to pick out some areas and using a sponge, and I'm just going to darken some areas. So I'm not going over the whole piece, I'm just finding some places to darken the edges. So I've chosen a few pieces and I'm turning the paper around as I go. Here you can see somebody coming and walking all over my collage. So now I'm using this Liquitex acrylic ink in carbon black, and I am going to drop splats of it all over my collage. And now I'm going to try and blow some of the ink, but that wasn't working as well as I would have liked. So I'm going to pick up the piece and let gravity help me spread this ink around. Again, I'm turning the paper, and then I'm going to go in with some transparent raw umber and do the same. So all we're doing here is just essentially making marks, and as you'll see as we go along, if you don't like something you can just paint over it. So here I'm blending some of the ink now in, because I didn't like the effect of the drips. So I'm just using a piece of kitchen roll and I am just smushing the ink and blending it all together. So now I've got this stencil, I don't know where it's from, and I am using some Liquitex Basics light modelling paste and a palette knife, and I'm just going to go in and, using some of the modelling paste, spread it into the stencil and create some texture. And it's not very precise, it is literally just to make some interesting textures, interesting patterns for later on. And I'm going to do this, making these random patterns and textures over the whole of the piece. So I've let that dry slightly, and now I'm going to use these alcohol inks, and I'm going to drip those all over the surface using a pipette. So I'm starting off with the blue, then using the pink, and the pink and the blue mix together nicely to create a nice purple colour. And then I'm using this other liquid which helps spread the ink further. And I like the way that this runs in and out of the texture that we've just created with the modelling paste. It's all going to drip together and mix together to make these lovely colours. I'm just drying that now, and I'm going to go over it with another layer of alcohol inks. Now I am going to make some stencils of my own, but these are going to be for creating negative space. So what I'm doing here is just showing you an example of how I'm making a circle shape out of a piece of cardboard and an old lid. So you can do this with whatever you've got going around. You don't have to use a circle shape, you could use whatever shape you wanted, but I've made a couple of circles of different sizes, and I'm going to use them to create negative space stencils. So all I'm going to do now is using some of a darker colour, that's metallic bronze colour, of acrylic paint and a brush, is use the stencil that I've made to block out a circle and then paint around the outside of it, so that when you remove the stencil you've got a negative space shape of the coloured layers that we made beneath. And I'm going to do that again in different ways over the whole of the collage sheet until we're completely covered in this nice bronze colour with these lovely circles of our previous designs underneath shining through. And I'm just drying that. Now I'm using this fluid golden acrylic and a sponge, and I'm just going to pick up on some of the textured areas using this sponge. So I'm just finding some of the more textured areas, and I'm bringing them out to the forefront using this darker paint, a bit like you would do if you are inking up one of your collage tags, or distressing a photograph, so that kind of thing. And then I'm going to go in with some silver, and I'm going to just really lightly with my fingertips brush over the top of some of these raised up areas to help them become more apparent and visible. Now I'm going to go in with this stencil, this alphabet stencil, and I'm going to use some more dark coloured acrylics, and I'm just going to, using a sponge again, just make some really rough stencil designs. This paint is quite watery and does leak through a little bit, so it's not a perfect design. It's almost got like a watercolory effect, so I've done that over the top. And now I'm using a children's paintbrush with quite stiff bristles and some metallic white, and I'm going to do some nice splatters. So I'm just using a bit of water to water down my acrylic paint, and I'm going to just spray all over it with some nice white splatters. And there you have it. That's the finished background effect. I love all the metallic colours mixed with the vibrant pinks and purples, and you can still see the collage elements coming through in the background. So next video we'll be working over the top of this, and I'll see you next week.